Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the City of Paterson Planning Board special meeting of Monday, June 6, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Chairwoman Northrup, you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Okay, commissioners, planning board staff, ladies and gentlemen, as chairwoman of the City of Paterson's Planning Board, I call this meeting of 6/6/22 to order. I hereby state that all the provisions of the State of New Jersey Public Meeting Law have been fully and completely met, that the notice of provisions required have been properly posted in the Planning Board office and with the City of Paterson clerk, that the public notice and advertisements have been published in the Herald News on 5/24/22 in accordance with the law, and that the copies of such notice and public advertisements are on file in the Planning Board office, as is also the agenda listing the applications to be taken up by the Planning Board at this meeting. The procedure tonight will be in accordance with the rules, regulations, and bylaws as heretofore determined by the Planning Board at its office in the municipal complex in the City of Paterson. Roll call, please.
Commissioners, Commissioner Udine, Commissioner Ahmed, absent. Commissioner Cleaves,
Present.
Commissioner Fisher, absent. Commissioner Yancel,
Present.
thank you. Commissioner Santana,
Present.
Commissioner Amar,
Present.
Commissioner Rowland, absent. Commissioner Figueroa,
Absent.
yes, absent. Commissioner Kalik, Councilman, absent, and Chairman.
No, Councilman Kalik, I see.
I'm in here.
No.
I'm in here.
Okay, thank you. And Chairwoman Northrup.
Present.
We have 7 commissioners in attendance this evening.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so notice pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act addressing effective coronavirus measures on the next public meeting. Consistent with the coronavirus-related restrictions of Executive Order Number 107 given on Saturday, March 21st, 2020 by Governor Philip D. Murphy, the Planning Board of the City of Paterson will not conduct in-person participation of the public at all future meetings until further notice. However, public participation will be available by means of communication equipment pursuant to NJSA 10:4-8, commencing on April 15, 2020. Though there may potentially be a practical need for a limited number of administrative, technical, or other city personnel to be present in or near the City Council Council Chambers, 3rd floor, City Hall, 155 Market Street, Paterson, New Jersey, in-person participation of the public is prohibited. Nevertheless, for reasons of compliance with the said Executive Order Number 107, public participation will be available by calling 973-321-1579, and the meeting ID is 711-680-001, and I will repeat that later on during the meeting of this meeting this evening on June 6, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. And this is for the meeting tonight that is scheduled to commence. The public may also participate in the meeting by accessing the website of the City of Paterson, www.patersonnj.gov. It's my understanding we have one meeting on tonight, a special meeting. It's JCM Investors 1012 LLC. Mr. Rubin, are you representing them?
Yes, Madam Chair. For the record, I am Michael Rubin, and we represent JCM Investors 1012 LLC, located at 175 Broadway in the city.
All right.
This is property, as you know, with both a minor subdivision and site plan with several variances, and we are ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you. Alright, so JCM Investors 1012 LLC, 94-110 Hamilton Ave, Block 3706, Lot 1, 103-107 Fair Street, Block 3706, Lot 2. The applicant proposes to merge the two lots into one 44,964 square foot lot and then re-subdivide the lot into two lots. Proposed lot 1.01 is to contain 22,372 square feet, and proposed lot 1.02 is to contain 22,592 square feet. Proposed lots 1.01 and 1.02 require lot area variances as 43,560 square feet of minimum lot size is required and 22,372 feet of lot size proposed on lot 1.01 and 22,592 square feet of lot size is proposed on lot 1.02. Proposed lot 1.01 is to contain a 7-story mixed-use building with 94 dwelling units, including 24 studio units, 45 one-bedroom units, and 25 two-bedroom units on a 22,372 square foot lot. Proposed lot 1.02 is to contain a 7-story mixed-use building with 94 dwelling units, including 24 studio units, 45 one-bedroom units, and 25 two-bedroom units on a lot units on a 22,592 square foot lot. 180 total parking spaces are proposed, 90 parking spaces on proposed lot 1.01 and 90 parking spaces on proposed lot 102. The lower level of building A on lot 1.01 proposes a lower level garage floor plan that includes 43 parking spaces and 906 square foot of commercial tenant space. The upper level garage floor plan includes 47 parking spaces. Floor 2 is proposed to contain 18 residential units. Floors 3 through 6 of building A are to contain 19 residential units per floor. The lower level of building B on proposed lot 1.02 proposes a lower level garage floor plan that includes 43 parking spaces and 900 square foot commercial tenant space. The upper level garage floor plan includes 47 parking spaces. Floor 2 is proposed to contain 18 residential units. Floor 3 through 6 of building B are to contain 19 residential units per floor. This proposal is within the high-density overlay district and encompasses blocks 3706 and 3707, which have underlying zoning of R-3 high medium density residential and B2 community business district. Variances are required for lot area, amenity open space as 22,268 square feet of amenity/open space is provided, 11,134 square feet on each proposed lot, and 18,850 square feet is required on each lot. A total of 37,700 square feet of amenity open space is required, and parking as each residential 94-unit building requires 1 parking space per unit, and each residential 94-unit building proposes 90 parking spaces, resulting in a variance request of deficient parking of 4 parking spaces for building A and 4 parking spaces for building B. This requires minor subdivision approval, site plan approval, and bulk variances, and this is their first appearance. I'm going to ask Mr. Deutsch, you're here, and so you're here this evening for the special meeting. I'm going to ask you to give us your review, please. I think you're muted.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, you're welcome.
Persons holding a 10% or greater ownership interest in JCM Investors 1012 LLC are Matthew Florio, providing an address of 175 Broadway, Paterson, New Jersey. Property taxes and sewer charges are current. A boundary and topography survey dated January 17, 2019 has been prepared by GB Engineering. The survey indicates that Lot 1 is length of 110.45 feet along the former Conrail, Paterson, and Ramapo Branch Railroad tracks, frontage of 213.25 feet along Hamilton Avenue, frontage of 210.9 feet along Paterson Street, and frontage of 156.5 feet on Fair Street. Lot 2 has frontage of 60 feet on Fair Street and frontage of 100.08 feet along the former Conrail, Paterson, and Ramapo Branch Railroad tracks. Lot 1 contains a paved macadam parking lot and an area of 39,182 square feet. Lot 2 contains a two-story brick building and has area of 5,782 square feet. The combined lots have area of 44,964 square feet, or 1.03 acres. The site has its highest elevation point near the railroad property to the east and gradually slopes to the west. Paterson Street is a one-way directional street in a northerly direction. Fair Street and Hamilton Avenue are two-way directional streets in easterly and westerly directions. The proposal to subdivide the merged two lots of 44,964 square feet into two new separate lots requires variances for lot area. The applicant proposes to merge the two lots into one 44,964 square foot lot and then subdivide the lot into two lots. Proposed lot 1.01 is to contain 22,373 square feet, and proposed lot 1.02 is to contain 22,592 square feet. Proposed lots 1.01 and 1.02 require lot area variances as 43,560 square feet is required and 22,370 square feet is proposed on lot 1.01 and 22,592 square feet is proposed on lot 1.02. Proposed lot 1.01 is to contain a 7-story mixed-use building with 94 dwelling units, including 24 studio units, 45 one-bedroom units, and 25 two-bedroom units on a 22,373 square foot lot. Proposed lot 1.02 is to contain a 7-story mixed-use building with 94 dwelling units, including 24 studio units, 45 one-bedroom units, and 25 two-bedroom units on a 22,592 square foot lot. The minimum lot area requirement is 43,560 square feet, and the applicant proposes two lots of 22,373 square feet and 22,592 square feet. A lot area variance is requested. An additional 5 pages of site plans has been prepared by GP Engineering and dated February 9, 2022. Sheet 1 is titled Key Map and Zoning. The zone map, adjacent property owners, drawing index, key map, general notes, zone chart, parking chart, and bicycle chart are indicated. Sheet 2 is the site plan. Parcel A, also known as proposed lot 1.01, is indicated on the approximate northern half of the lot and is full frontage of 213.25 feet on Hamilton Avenue and partial frontage of 105.45 feet on Paterson Street to the west. Partial frontage of 105 feet along the former Conrail, Paterson, Ramapo Branch Railroad tracks to the east. Parcel A shares a 212.7-foot lot line to the south with Parcel B. These dimensions can be confirmed on sheet 5 of 5 titled Boundary Topography and dated January 17, 2019. Site plan indicates that a proposed 94-unit 5-story apartment building above 2 levels of parking is proposed on Parcel A. The plan indicates that 444.92 feet south of the intersection of Hamilton Avenue and Paterson Street, there's an approximate 2-foot wide by 30-foot long indentation of the building. Excuse me, that should be 44.92 feet. The zone chart indicates that the Parcel A building is to cover 69.3% of the lot. The remaining 30.7% of the impervious coverage on the lot with no building is to contain a gravel area located between the eastern side of the building and the railroad. Parcel B, also known as proposed lot 1.02, is indicated on the approximate southern half of the lot and is full frontage of 216.5 feet on Fair Street, partial frontage of 105.45 feet on Paterson Street to the west, partial frontage of 100.08 feet along the former Conrail, Paterson, Ramapo Branch Railroad tracks to the east. Parcel B shares a 212.7-foot lot line to the north with parcel A. Site plan indicates that a proposed 94-unit, 5-story apartment building above 2 levels of parking is proposed on parcel B. The plan indicates that 44.92 feet north of the intersection of Fair Street and Paterson Street, there is an approximate 2-foot wide by 30-foot long indentation of the building. The zone chart indicates that the parcel B building is to cover 68.63% of the lot. The remaining 31.37% of the impervious area covered to the lot with no building to contain a gravel area located between the eastern side of the building and the railroad. The architect will testify that between the two lots is an exterior rooftop area constructed upon the second floor of the parking garage of 15,708 square feet. Both buildings share half of this outdoor space, 7,854 square feet on each lot. Sheet 3 is the grading and drainage plan and indicates the building's first story. Two 24-foot wide access driveways are indicated on Paterson Avenue, each one to serve as vehicular access to parcel A and parcel B. The driveway for parcel A is located 20 feet south of the intersection of Hamilton Avenue and Paterson Street. The driveway for parcel B is located 18 feet north of the intersection of Fair Street and Paterson Street. Each access driveway indicates a 27-foot wide curb cut. Each access driveway leads to a 43-space enclosed parking garage. Each of the 43-space parking garages indicates one handicapped parking space. Each of the 42 non-handicapped spaces have dimensions of 9 feet in width and 18 feet in depth. The parking aisle widths are the standard 24 feet in width. Sheet 4 is the grading and drainage plan for the second story and the landscaping plan. Two 24-foot wide access driveways are indicated. One on Hamilton Avenue serving parcel A and one on Fair Street serving parcel B. Each access driveway indicates a 27-foot wide curb cut. Each access driveway leads to a 47-space enclosed parking garage. Each of the 47-space parking garages indicates 3 handicap parking spaces. Each of the 44 non-handicap spaces have dimensions of 9 feet in width and 18 feet in depth. The parking aisle widths are the standard 24 feet in width. Evans Architect has prepared a 16-page architectural plan submittal dated February 26, 2022. Sheet CS is the cover page. Proposed new apartment buildings with ground floor parking for JCM Investments 1012. Sheet A1 is the lower level garage floor plan for building A. In addition to the previous parking information, the plan indicates a sprinkler room and an electrical room at the northwest corner of the building, a 906 square foot commercial tenant space with access doors to Paterson Street, an 864 square foot lobby with access to a management office, 2 elevators, a restroom, a package room, and concierge area that also has access to the parking garage. On the southwest corner of the building, there's an access door to Paterson Street, a stairwell, and a refuse and recyclable room of 484 square feet that has access to the parking garage. On the northeast corner of the building is staircase number 2. On the east side of the building exterior is another staircase. Sheet A2 is the upper level garage floor plan for building A. In addition to the previous parking information, the plan indicates a 736 square foot fitness space, a restroom, an upper lobby of 729 square feet with access to the parking garage, a 250 square foot bicycle storage room with access to the parking garage. Sheet A3 is the proposed second floor plan for building A. 18 units are indicated, including 4 studio units of 391, 472, 479, and 542 square feet, 9 one-bedroom units of 602, 648, 649, 665, 677, and 698 square feet, and 5 two-bedroom units of 927, 951, 970, 993, and 1,102 square feet. A community lounge of 932 square feet is also indicated. On the south side of the building is an open area that is located on the roof of the second floor. Sheet A4 indicates the proposed third through sixth floor plans for Building A. 19 units are indicated, including 5 studio units of 391, 462, 472, 479, and 542 square feet, 9 one-bedroom units of 602, 648, 649, 665, and 677 square feet, and 5 two-bedroom units of 906, 927, 951, 993, and 1,102 square feet. A community lounge of 588 square feet is also indicated. Sheet A5 indicates the Building A elevation. The proposed front elevation indicates Paterson Street. The building contains 7 stories. Building materials indicate black aluminum coping, a decorative tempered glass canopy, and black aluminum anodized frame tempered glass storefront. On the first floor, a 20-foot wide by 8-foot in height overhead garage door is located to the left of the building's entrance. Other building materials appear to be brick and stucco materials. The garage entrance on this side of the building leads to the level 1 parking garage. The proposed left side elevation indicates the building view from Hamilton Avenue. As the property rises in elevation from west to east, the facade indicates a 6-story building on the northeast corner of Hamilton Avenue and the proposed gravel area to the west of the Conrail Railroad. As the property slopes down from east to west to the northwest corner of Hamilton Avenue and Paterson Street, the building facade indicates 7 stories. Building materials indicate black aluminum coping, a decorative tempered glass canopy, black aluminum anodized frame tempered glass storefront. On the first floor, a 20-foot wide by 8-foot in height overhead garage door is located on the left side of the building. Other building materials appear to be brick and stucco materials. The garage entrance on this side of the building leads to the level 2 parking garage. Sheet A6 indicates 2 additional Building A elevations. The proposed right side elevation faces Fair Street, but will not be visible from the Fair Street eye level as Building B will be situated in front of the building. The open amenity space is on this level. The proposed rear elevation indicates the building view from the Conrail Railroad, which is elevated above the first floor of the building. Sheet A7 and A8 indicate wall section detail. Sheet A9 is the lower level garage floor plan for Building B. In addition to the previous parking information, the plan indicates a sprinkler room and an electrical room at the northwest corner of the building, a 906 square foot commercial tenant space with access doors to Paterson Street, an 864 square foot lobby with access to a management office, 2 elevators, a restroom, a package room, and a concierge area that also has access to the parking garage. On the southwest corner of the building, there's an access door to Paterson Street, stairwell, and a refuse and recycle room of 484 square feet that has access to the parking garage. On the northeast corner of the building, staircase number 2. On the east side of the building exterior is another staircase. Sheet A10 is the upper level garage floor plan for Building B. In addition to the previous parking information, the plan indicates a 736 square foot fitness center, a restroom and upper lobby of 729 square feet with access to the parking garage, a 250 square foot bicycle storage room with access to the parking garage. Sheet A11 is a proposed second floor plan for Building B. 18 units are indicated, including 4 studio units of 391, 472, 479, and 542 square feet, 9 one-bedroom units of 602, 648, 649, 665, 677, and 698 square feet, and 5 two-bedroom units of 927, 951, 970, 993, and 1,102 square feet. A community lounge of 932 square feet is also indicated. On the south side of the building is an open amenity area that is located on the roof of the second floor. Sheet 812 indicates the proposed third through sixth floor plans for Building B. 19 units are indicated, including 5 studio units of 391, 462, 472, 479, 542 square feet, 9 one-bedroom units of 602, 648, 649, 665, and 677 square feet, and 5 two-bedroom units of 906, 927, 951, 993, and 1,102 square feet. A community lounge of 588 square feet is also indicated. Sheet 813 indicates the Building B elevation. The proposed front elevation indicates Paterson Street. The building contains 7 stories. Building materials indicate black aluminum coping, a decorative tempered glass canopy, and black aluminum anodized frame tempered glass storefront. The first floor, a 20-foot wide by 8-foot in height overhead garage door is located to the right of the building entrance. Other building materials appear to be brick, stucco material. The garage entrance on this side of the building leads to the level 1 parking garage. The proposed left side elevation indicates the building view from Fair Street. As the property decreases in elevation from west to east, the facade indicates a 6-story building on Fair Street adjacent to the proposed gravel area to the west of the Conrail Railroad. The property slopes up from west to east. The building facade indicates 7 stories. Building materials indicate black aluminum coping, a decorative tempered glass canopy, a black aluminum anodized frame tempered glass storefront. On the first floor, a 20-foot wide by 8-foot height overhead garage door is located on the right side of the building. Other building materials appear to be brick and stucco material. The garage entrance on the Fair Street side of the building leads to level 2 parking garage. Sheet 814 indicates 2 additional building B elevation. The proposed left side elevation faces Fair Street. The proposed rear elevation is viewed in the gravel area and the railroad. Sheet 815 indicates both buildings, A and B, as they will appear from the Paterson Street elevation. The buildings will have a height of 67 feet and 2 inches and will appear as being one building and not 2 separate buildings. The intent of the high-density overlay district approved by the City Council on November 20th, 2018 is to provide increased height and residential density limits in order to promote large-scale development opportunities in close proximity to the city's Ward Street train station. The permitted height and density allow for the development of a modern urban residential or mixed-use structures that are consistent with consumer demands in transit-oriented markets. Multifamily residential uses, convenience retail, and offices are permitted in the HDO district. On June 2nd, 2022, a 2-page traffic and parking assessment report prepared by John Korak, PE, Stonefield Engineering, dated June 1st, 2022, was received. The previous traffic report impact study prepared by Charles Olivio, PE, of Stonefield Engineering, dated May 23rd, 2019, was cited as a basis for understanding the existing conditions and the calculated traffic impacts of the previous proposed development. On June 17, 2019, a previous proposal for development of a 10-story mixed-use building with 206 residential apartment units, 7,670 square feet of retail space was conditionally approved. The current development proposal consists of fewer units and retail floor area than the previously approved development. The 2-page letter dated June 1st, 2022 from Stonefield is attached at the end of this review. Prior to the occupancy of the building and either retail store, certificate of occupancy shall be obtained. Proposed retail uses not specifically contained within the zoning ordinance or proposed uses requiring conditions may require an application before the appropriate land use board. The applicant will advise the board of security measures, including number and placement of security cameras on lighting poles and building placement of light fixtures. The housing element contained in the Paterson Master Plan recommends increasing the supply of market rate housing to meet future needs. Luxury housing such as loft apartments and condominiums should be encouraged downtown, especially near the Ward Street train station. This would help to attract higher income residents to the city. As part of this proposal, the applicant proposed extensive on and off site utility work, road milling, curb, and sidewalk replacement. So it will be the responsibility of the applicant and or the preparer of the plan to obtain a letter from the city engineer indicating the plan has been satisfactorily reviewed prior to the plan being released to the construction official. All signs shall conform to section 500-8 sign regulations of the land development ordinance. If approved, the applicant shall file a subdivision plat in conformity with the map filing law or a deed clearly describing the approved minor subdivision. Chairman, Secretary of the Planning Board shall sign the deed. The applicant shall enter into a developer's agreement with the City of Paterson. A review of this proposal indicates that it meets the site plan requirements contained within the overlay plan. The lot sizes permit the number of units proposed per acre. The applicant's initial submission reflected variance for the number of parking spaces required for the proposed residential use. In an email dated May 26, 2022 from Thomas Stearns, it is stated that 15 electric vehicle spaces will be added to the site, which translates to a 10% reduction in the number of parking spaces required off-street. It is the applicant's opinion that the previous off-street parking variance of 8 parking spaces, 4 spaces on each lot, is no longer required. The number of commercial retail parking spaces proposed is consistent with the permitted first 5,000 square feet of exclusion, and the number of bicycle spaces permitted is consistent with the 1 space per 10 dwelling units. All of the residential units exceed the minimum per square footage requirements. Variances are requested for amenity open space of 22,268 square feet. Amenity open space is provided, and 37,700 square feet of amenity open space is required. In an email dated May 31st, 2022 from Matthew Evans, it is advised that rooftop amenity plans have been prepared. An email of sheet A16 indicates that both Building A and Building B will have 7,854 square feet of amenity area on each roof section. The architect will detail these plans at the meeting. Surrounding land uses. This proposal is located along the southern border of the downtown section of the city. The surrounding area includes the Triangle Village, a Verizon building, and a church. Broadway is located 1 block south of this proposal. Including remarks. In a letter dated April 8, 2022 from the County of Passaic, the site plan application has been granted unconditional approval. In a letter dated April 26, 2022 from the County of Passaic, the subdivision plat has been granted unconditional approval. The applicant estimates the cost of this proposal at approximately $25 million. As the New York City employment market expands, metropolitan areas with train stations that are within walking distance to populated residential areas such as Paterson will be sought out. The completion of this proposal would lead to positive change in the area and solidify that the city is able to compete with other urban areas that commuters to New York City seek to reside in. The planning board meeting held on June 17, 2019 on the current property that is the subject of this application, an applicant was approved to construct a 10-story, 120-foot mixed-use building on a combined 44,964 square foot lot. The first floor proposed 7,670 square feet of retail space and parking. The second and third floors proposed parking for 217 vehicles. The fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th floors proposed residential units, including 10 studio units, 162 one-bedroom units, 25 two-bedroom units, and 7 three-bedroom units. This past proposal was not constructed. As your staff review for this proposal, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Deutsch. I just want to throw up to Mr. Aquaviva. We're gonna handle this, I'm assuming, the way we handle all the other subdivisions. There'll be two. We'll handle the subdivision first at the end of the evening, and then the site plan approval. Is that correct, Mr. Aquaviva?
That's correct.
Okay, good. All right, so, Mr. Rubin, please proceed.
Yes, before we get into the testimony, so the record is clear, there was an approval by the planning board for this same site with a resolution dated July 17, 2019. In the event that the planning board approves of the current application, which is before the board this evening, and it does vote to allow it to move forward, as part of that approval resolution, we would ask that the prior July 17, 2019 resolution be withdrawn and have no further legal effect. So it is clear that there is only one approved resolution on this.
Mr. Aquaviva?
Yeah, that's fine, Mr. Rubin, but as I'm sure you're aware, that resolution would have expired many months ago anyway because the applicant didn't construct. But yeah, for the record, the resolution is stricken.
I want to be very clear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at, these two resolutions on the same property.
Understood.
I just want it stated that that is withdrawn, it's gone, it's null and void.
Understood.
But thank you very much.
Okay,
First,
please proceed.
will be Matt Evans, our architect, if he's sworn.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Please state your full name for the record.
Matthew Evans, architect, 470 Chamberlain Ave, Paterson, New Jersey.
And we accept him as an expert witness. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans. You have designed this new application for this property, and we've been living with it for a long time and making various changes. What we have.
Okay, I'm gonna post the plans. I don't know if you can see them. So we have a 17 sheet submission, which shows the two buildings in each form. And also I concur with Mr. Deutsch's report. And what we're doing is creating a two-lot subdivision and creating two buildings, building A and B, as you can see on the cover sheet of our plans. We have Paterson Street, Hamilton, and Fair, and then we have courtyard area in the middle, and then we have approximately 20 feet in the rear along New Jersey Transit. You can see on the on what we did a rendering. So we have try and get over here. Okay. So we have a color rendering showing the elevation of Paterson Street, and this would be Fair Street to the right, and you can see the railroad trestle in the rear. Showing a mix of materials and colors and giving it the aesthetic appeal in accordance with the redevelopment plan. So that sheet shows the rendering, a basic plot plan, and the breakdown of the sheets. And we're going to the next sheet. This would be the Hamilton and Paterson Street building, and this is building A, attached on the right top right little key plan showing it, and then we have 43 spaces at the lower level along with commercial, management office, lobby, some refuse and recycling, or egress stairs, and a two-way entrance to the garage, the lower level garage along Paterson Street. So We've also have electric vehicle ready, in accordance with the new, requirements, and our mechanical, electric, and sprinkler rooms. We also show, to the rear, there's an exit, door, which goes up to the grade level in the backyard, which I'll elaborate a little bit more, when I get to that level, so that brings you up. Now we have, sheet A2 has the upper level garage floor plan, which has 47 parking spaces, EV parking, and we have bike storage, upper level lobby, fitness, room, and, egress storage, and, the garage entrances on the upper end of Hamilton Ave, which is a two-way, that gives you access through, the 47 parking, spaces, on that level. Also, we have a two-bank elevator, so we have two elevators for this building. So each building would have two elevators, and we have the next sheet, A3, which breaks down, a little bit differently than the upper floors. This is the second floor plan showing open terrace, in the middle. Then we have additional terrace area, in the rear, which is another 2,000 square feet. And then we have the, 4,338 square feet of open terrace area.
Excuse me, Matt, are you talking to the, because I don't know where you're pointing to with the open space, is that to the right?
Let me
Those
go,
little circles?
hold on, let me. No, going to, let me scroll down to the top a little bit. So, we have the, open terrace area.
Which is where?
Alright, so here basically in the middle of the building, in the east side, opens up to the east side of, along the
Right.
railroad tracks. So you can see this open terrace, which, is flanked around the perimeter with the apartments.
Okay.
And then we have stairs that, go down to the level of the rear outdoor amenity area. So it's about 2,000 square feet, and then that has access and goes out to Hamilton Avenue. So all these apartments have their own utilities, have separate laundry facilities, and they're larger units than the minimum requirement. And basically we shade every other one to clarify the unit breakdown. And so we go to the area over here, and then we have the two elevators, the community lounge across from the elevators, and there's a corridor that accesses for the tenants to go out to that open terrace. So there's two exits on that terrace, one into the building and one to the outside. We also break down all the apartments, 94 apartments, and we have 45 one-bedrooms, 25 two-bedrooms, and 24 studios total. We also do a breakdown of the open space amenity areas. We have a required amenity area of 37,700 square feet, and I'll get into the breakdown of the amenity areas as we go through the plans. So sheet A3, sheet A4 is shows the apartments on the 3rd through 6th floor. Then we have the community lounge basically in the core, and the two elevators access each floor, along with the corridor which goes from west to east, attaching the egress elements. Going to the elevations, basically Paterson Street showing those materials that we did on that rendering. You can see we're just calling it out. It's not as illustrated as the rendering, but it shows in 2 dimensions how this building would be constructed. So as you can see on the left side, there's the upper garage, and then on the Paterson Street, we have the lower garage entrance. Then along Paterson, we have the main entrance to the commercial and also apartment main entrance.
Back, Joe, generally where the commercial units are going to be located as against the residential.
Yeah, so there's one level is going to be the commercial. That's a grade level. Go back to it. We have on Paterson Street, we have about a little over 900 square feet for that commercial tenant. Then there's the management office, lobby, concierge area, and then there's an access to the rear garage through the building. That would be consistent with both buildings. Basically, parcel B or the building B would be a mirror image of building A. So whatever we've developed on this building would be consistent with the both buildings.
So it'd be a mirror image for the most part.
Yes. So there'll be because the grade is a little different. There's some variations in the grade along the street, but that would be pretty much the only consideration that would change. But it's really de minimis.
And each building would be on its own separate tax lot.
Yeah. So they'd have all their separate utilities, separate mechanical, elevators, everything. So basically, by doing this, we create, basically, if this was one building, it would have 4 elevators and 4 stairs. So by having 2 buildings, there's more amenities per building. So,
And that would be the product of the minor subdivision, which we are also asking for in this application.
yes,
So there will be 2 separate tax lots, 2 separate buildings, although co-joined.
right. So they would be adjacent to each other like any urban setting. They would have their own 0 lot line conditions adjacent to each other.
But as your testimony is that all utilities separate, everything is separate, and obviously if it's on its own tax lot, taxation is separate, everything is separate between the 2 lots and the 2 buildings.
Correct.
That's what you have designed for this site.
Yes.
Could you go into a little bit more detail on the amenities, since we have changed that over the last short
Okay.
time?
So we have the sections of building which we elaborated on a little bit. Building B. So building B is a mirror image. Basically, all the things I mentioned about building A would be consistent with building B. Going through those plans. Now we go to this exhibit, which is submitted to the board digitally, and we have the proposed roof plan for building A and building B. So let me try and make this a little bigger.
I have a quick question. I was gonna save it for the end, but now, so in addition to the outdoor area on page A-11, you also have rooftop space. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, so we go, when we developed it, we had a meeting and we added additional rooftop amenity area of 7,854 square feet per building.
All right, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't one or the other. Okay, that's what I was getting confused. All right, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt. Please
So
proceed.
that's, okay, no problem. And then, so that shows the rooftop amenity area, one of the elevators accesses to an elevator lobby and then to the amenity area on the rooftop, and showing also additional information. Try and find my. I'm going to stop sharing this, and then I'm going to share. If I can share the. Hey, can you see that?
Okay.
I don't see anything. It says it's starting to share. Here we go. Got it.
Brought it over. Okay, so this site was also part of the cover sheet, the rendering of the Fair Street and Paterson Street elevation showing the different mix of materials. And going to the next one, this is the rooftop amenity area. So as you can see, it basically depicts the same, it's the rendering based on the floor layout of the area on the rooftop. That's the upper rooftop area. So that's showing the building. We didn't show the city around it. We didn't have time to show that, so we just showed some green to give it a background. But showing the two buildings connected and showing the rooftop amenity areas of each building. So looking at it, you see Fair Street down on the left side, Paterson Street in the back, and then where the lower level is, there would be the railroad and that intermediate roof area for additional amenities.
Go over the safety features and as much as these rooftop units are going to be fairly elevated. So tell us how tenants who will be using this will be safe.
Okay, so in this rendering we show the railings which would separate the people basically from the edge of the building. They would be built in accordance with the code in order to protect people from falling over the edge or anything. So that would all be done in accordance with the International Building Code requirements. It's 42 inches would be the minimum. We're going to make it 4 feet, so it would be 48 inches around that, and then showing the different areas you can see from one building to the rear of the building behind it. There's the two amenity spaces on the rooftop. So we, illustrated that a little bit better. As you can see, these rooftop areas are separated from the edge of the building also. So there's additional safety feature of not, being able to go to the edge of those amenities.
And there'll be some method that only tenants can use that area.
Yeah, this is for tenants, quiet, enjoyment. It's not for, rental or anything else. This is only for the tenants, and if it's done in a way where, they would be required to agree to that, I believe.
So they would have some form of entry so that only a tenant could utilize that amenity.
Right, so they would have like a card or something that would give them access to the roof, and that would be limited to the tenants.
And that would be part of the administration of the building.
Yes.
Right?
Does that conclude the testimony?
That's all I have for now, unless there's any questions.
No, I'm just gonna ask, who else do we have this evening who's giving testimony?
Okay, we have traffic, our planner, and site engineer.
All right, Let's hear from traffic, please.
You'll do, all of the questions after all of the witnesses.
Yes,
Good, thank you. John?
Good evening.
good evening.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Your full name for the record, please?
It's John Korak, last name spelled Corak.
We accept him as an expert witness. He's been before us so many times.
For the purposes of this application, you have prepared an addendum to what has been done in the past. And you tell us what you looked at, what the dynamics are of the new plan.
Yeah, so we reviewed this plan in a similar way as how we reviewed the previous iteration of the proposed development project. We looked at the massing of the site, the number of units, the amount of retail space. We looked at, of course, where those access points are, how you're able to navigate on and off the site. And of course, we're able to rely on what is a more intensive traffic study from the previous issuance of the previous version of this development in order to help understand whether or not the conclusions from that study would remain the same with the proposed development plan. And so this should be pretty straightforward as far as the traffic testimony goes, but the proposed development plan before the board today is a slightly smaller development plan in terms of traffic generation, in terms of total size, total number of units, total amount of retail. And ultimately what that results in is a slightly smaller peak hour trip generation associated with the development. So the amount of traffic as compared to the previous approval is a little bit less during those peak periods and really during any period. And so when we compare slightly less traffic volumes generated from the site to the previous development and the levels of service that were generated there, we find that this would also not have any significant impact on the roadway network. We had acceptable levels of service before. With a little bit less traffic from this development, we'll continue to have those acceptable levels of service. We also, of course, look at how the massing on sites changed with the new parking configuration. We continue to provide compliant parking. We meet the ordinance requirements for the site. And so that's the main threshold to consider. But also in terms of vehicle ownership and in terms of transportation patterns of the residents of this building, we have that walkable proximity to both the train station, Broadway bus terminal, and of course right into downtown, lots of employment options, shopping options. And ultimately, this is a site very well suited for its tenants to not need to rely 100% on personal automobile use. It helps create a more walkable environment, helps add people and residents in this downtown area, more feet on the street to pursue the retail and shopping options as well as employment downtown. And ultimately, when we're considering the parking for this project, those are all major components with it, and at the end of the day, it does ultimately come back to the fact that the parking for the site does meet the ordinance requirements and no variance is being requested. The last piece here is the access change. Previously, we had the driveway out to Fair Street. Now we have separate entrances for the different parking levels of each building. We have for each building one entrance off Paterson and then an entrance either off of Fair Street or Hamilton Avenue. This helps disperse some of the traffic to the roadway network, whereas the previous iteration had the single curb cut, a single point of access. Ultimately, the driveway configuration doesn't result in any substantial changes in levels of service. And this project will be consistent as far as traffic impact, parking impact with the prior approved development that was before this board about 3 years ago.
Correct. There is one change which I'd like you to comment upon.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, we did not have an electric charging legislation by our New Jersey legislature. Now we do, and we have a different impact. Could you advise how the new legislation has impacted on this project and what we've done to implement it.
Right, so the new electric vehicle charging requirements, they require 15% of the parking supply be pre-wired or make ready, so to speak, for electric vehicle charging stations. And so that is essentially a blanket requirement for all multifamily residential projects over 5 units. Obviously, we are well above 5 units at 188. And so we'll be providing that 15% of the parking supply in compliance with the New Jersey's electric vehicle make ready charging laws.
So, because of that, no longer need a 4-vehicle bulk variance.
Correct. So one of the components within that law is that each make ready space counts as 2 parking spaces to satisfy parking requirements, up to 10% of the total. So in this case, with the 180 parking spaces total between the 2 buildings, up to 10% of that would be 18 spaces that would be added on to the total supply, essentially giving a supply that's in excess of the Paterson requirement for this property.
So this is as far as parking goes and vehicle count, we comply.
Correct, we comply, and I do believe that the parking supply here is more than sufficient to meet the needs of the residents on the site itself. But yes, we are compliant with the parking requirement.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, I would like to hear from the engineer, please.
Well, I thought you wanted the site plan, the minor subdivision, to be at the site plan application.
Well, I think we still need to hear testimony because in the end we will vote on it separately. Am I correct, Mr. Aquaviva? Or do you want to do it?
Yes, Madam Chair. I guess, Mr. Rubin, if you wanted to proceed on just subdivision and then second about variance, that's your prerogative, but we are going to vote on it separately at the end of the application anyway.
Great. Now we could go into GB and the application for minor subdivision, which fits into the whole scheme of this development.
Okay.
The minor subdivision, we don't have a conforming lot. We don't have 2 lots.
So you want to do it now?
Sure, we'll do it right this moment. GB.
Okay, so first of all, before we move forward with that, I want to ask if there's any commissioners that have any questions of either one of these the people that gave us testimony, Mr. Evans, Mr. Korak.
This is Commissioner Cleves. I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
The train, does the train run through the development, or is it on the outside of development?
Yeah.
Maybe Mr. Reed could talk about that kind of site issue. He is right. He is on the call.
We have to swear Mr. Reed in, but I believe it's on the outside, but there's Mr. Reed now. Melinda, thank you. Could you please swear him in?
You raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Say your full name for the record.
Andy Reed, REID, Director of Development, Basic Investors. Yeah, Commissioner, please to answer your question. The railroad runs about 25 feet to the east of this site, so not within it, it's on the outside of it.
You said on the east, so
To the east of our site.
which is on which street?
Well, the development starts at Paterson Street and comes east towards the railroad. So the railroad's on the outside of it. The railroad runs north to south. So Paterson Street would be the furthest west of the railroad. So our site will stop, a little more than 25 feet before the railroad.
So there won't be, they'll be able to hear the train, but it won't be a big distraction for the tenants?
No, because with the makeup of the type of glass we'll be using, as well as for the sound barriers and the way we sheet out the building, that sound barriers for that, so that will buffer the sound from the railroad.
Okay, thank you.
I also, Commissioner Freeze, I also believe there's another high rise there that we'll get into probably with the site plan, that's not too far from there, so, there's other buildings that are in that area, and that also probably could act as a sound barrier, I don't know, I'm not an architect, but in any event. Alright, so, any other commissioners? Okay, I don't hear any other commissioners, I'm gonna ask, is there anyone on the line from the public?
Hello, yes, I do have 3 objectors.
Uh-huh.
One moment. I have the names.
We're just doing, questions now, Madam Chair.
Yep, it's only questions on the actual, subdivision.
Those witnesses will.
Of those witnesses only, that's correct.
Thank you. Trying to find the names. One moment, Chairwoman, one moment. Jessica White, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Thank you. The chairwoman will speak now. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Jessica White.
Okay, Jessica Light. All right, I just want to make sure that you understand, Ms. Light, that, the questions right now are strictly of the people who gave testimony regarding the subdivision. That would be, if you have a question for Mr. Evans, the architect, Mr. Korak, the traffic, person, traffic engineer.
Okay, well, I have more of a concern, so should I wait?
Yes, you should wait. Yes. Yes, because these are only for questions on the subdivision right now, so yes, I would say please wait. Are you there?
Okay.
Okay. Madam Secretary, do you have anyone else on the line?
Yes, I do. Shakur, are you there, sir? SHAKUR, Mr. Shakur.
Mr.
Yes.
Shakur? Okay. Mr. Shakur, please state your name and address for the record.
Diop Shakur, 114 Bear Street, Unit 311, Paterson, New Jersey, 07501.
Okay, now this is strictly questions right now for, okay, either Mr. Korak or Mr. Evans regarding the subdivision only.
Thank you. Madam Chair, may I ask the court reporter, did you get the first name?
No, I was just about to ask, what is the?
I didn't get the first name, Mr. Shakur. Can you repeat it for the court
Spell
reporter?
it, spell it.
Diop, I have a concern. I don't have no questions for this.
All right, then just hold off for now. We'll come back to you when we get to that point.
Thank you, but I need the first name for the record.
Diop, D-I-O-P, Diop.
Thank you.
D-I-O-P, B-up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do you have another caller, Maggie?
One moment. The name is James William. Are you there, sir? Mr. William? Okay, you may proceed, Madam Chair.
All right, so at this time, since I have no other questions from the commissioners, I'm going to open it up. Would someone like to make a motion on the subdivision?
Well, I've got other witnesses on the site plan, we really haven't finished that out.
Okay, I thought we were doing it in two separate things, I misunderstood.
Correct. No, we haven't finished the site plan, you just started it, and
No, I know that, Mr. Rubin, I really thought that we were going to do the subdivision first, take to vote, but I misunderstood.
Correct.
Mr. Rubin, did you understand it that way or is it me?
you need Mr. Stearns then, or someone from his office, to testify as to.
Madam Chair, Mr. Rubin's correct. I thought he was proceeding with Mr. Stearns as well.
Oh.
We moved on to the variances, and the actual construction. So, I don't know, I see Mr. Stearns on the screen. Either he's-
Okay, so then why don't we hear from Mr. Stearns?
If he could be sworn.
Okay, excuse me, I'm gonna ask everyone else from the public to please mute yourselves so that we can proceed. Okay, please swear Mr. Stearns in.
Swear affirm testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Say your full name for the record.
Sure. Thomas G. Stearns III, Stearns, 144 Jewel Street, Garfield, New Jersey, president of GB Engineering, LLC. Good evening.
Mr. Stearns, could you advise the board of what area is your expertise?
Yeah, so I'm a licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey and a licensed land surveyor. I've been accepted as a witness, expert in those fields before this board many times.
Yes, we accept him as an expert witness, thank you.
Thank you.
And John, could we please advise the board as to what your role has been in designing the site for this two-building application?
Sure. So I'm going to testify to both the subdivision and the site plan aspects of it.
Please.
Okay, so I'll proceed if I could, I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. Okay, is that visible to everyone?
Not yet.
Not yet, can you give it a second? There it is, thank you, can you zoom?
Yeah, I'm gonna zoom, yes. So this is my site plan and subdivision. This is the cover sheet of my site plan subdivision. I'm gonna zoom in corner, sorry, just takes a little time to regenerate. Second. So this is my plan dated February 9th, 2022 and revised 3/21/22. I'm going to start in the center. This is the key map of the site. This shows the site and the surrounding streets. So we are lot 1 and 2 in block 3706. Mr. Deutsch gave a very detailed representation and investigation of the site. Just briefly, we have Hamilton Avenue to the north, Paterson Avenue to the west, Fair Street to the south. And if you look at this, where the word formerly is, another lot 1 in a different block, this is the railroad right-of-way that was mentioned just briefly. And this is adjacent to our site. It's not part of our site. And it is a elevated railway, so it's above the ground level, but it will be below the rooftop and also below the open area of our building. So currently we have these two lots, lot 1 and 2. We have 100% impervious area. We have a building on lot 2, a small building on lot 1, and the rest of it is 100% impervious parking and drive area. So our proposal is to subdivide that. I'll just go briefly to my zone chart, which is on this sheet. So as was discussed before, we have a lot that is 44,964 square feet. We're splitting that into 2 lots. Proposed lot 101 is on the north, adjacent to Hamilton Street. That lot is going to be 22,372 square feet. A variance is required because the lot area required in this district is 1 acre, which is 43560. Again, we have lot 1.02, which is going to be to the south, adjacent to Fair Street. That lot will be 22,592 square feet. Also a variance, as I said before. We have no other variances as a result of the investigation of these items here. So we have no requirement for lot width, no requirement for front yard, no requirement for side yard or rear yard. So we are on the setbacks for the side and front setbacks. So we're going to be fronting on Paterson Avenue. We'll have a 0 offset. Will be side yards will be considered on Fair Street. Also can be considered a front yard, and also on Hamilton. Will be right on the setback of those right of ways. And proposed side yard will be 0 because it'll be on the new adjacent lot now. So we have basically 0 for front and side. So our rear yard, which is adjacent to the railroad right of way, will be 19.20 on lot 1.01 and 19.79 on lot 1.02. Just to give you some feedback. As far as everything else, required building coverage is 100%. We're within that. Impervious coverage is 100%. We're at 100%. And there was a discussion of the parking. We'll discuss that later, but we will comply. Right now I show 94, and it should be a variance for the for 90 spaces for each. But as was discussed with the electric vehicle spaces, we get a 10% discount by providing 15% electric vehicle parking. So that'll bring our requirement down from 94 to 85. So we are within the parking for both lots. We are under units per acre requirement also. So I'm going to do, I'll just go quickly. I have a little subdivision detail. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
So I'm going to just so everyone can see. These are this is the new division line. Right at this location, right? It's basically centered on Paterson Avenue. You have Hamilton above, Fair Street below, Paterson on the west, and this is the railroad right away on the east. I'll zoom in a little bit. So if you take a look, we're going to be parallel with Fair Street. So Fair Street is basically 90 degrees with Paterson Avenue. We're going to create a new lot line that's parallel with Fair Street. And then as you go up to Hamilton, it's a slightly different angle on Hamilton. So if you look at our dimensions, we're going to have basically 105.53 on lot 1.02, which is the lower lot. That'll be adjacent to the railroad. And we're going to have 105 even on 1.01. And that's just occurs because of the angle. This is not a 90-degree angle, so we wouldn't have the same distances back here. And that's those are the dimensions of the lot areas as I discussed prior. I'm just going to go to my sheet 5 of 5. This is our boundary.
Before you leave that issue, Tom, the 2 new tax lots will be as shown in the previous screen.
That's
To be used.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, these will be the 2 new tax lots. 1.01 will be adjacent to Hamilton on the north. 1.02 will be adjacent to Fair Street on the south. Correct.
If there be a resolution of approval, we want it clear that this is what the dimensions will be, and this is what the resolution will provide for the minor subdivision.
Yes, we will file this subdivision by deed, and we will have to prepare meets and bounds. I will prepare legal descriptions for each of the lots, And those two, if this is approved, we will file those legal descriptions with the county. That's the procedure for a minor subdivision, once you have approval. So I'm gonna go to, the boundary and topography. Just again, as I stated, just to clarify, we have two lots, currently lot 1 and lot 2. Lot 2 is just a cutout of the whole parcel, which includes this 2-story brick building. The only other building on the site is the guardhouse. And as I said before, we have a fenced-in parking area, all macadam, adjacent to the railroad. Just as far as the grading goes, I'll step back. So the lowest point on the site is at this corner here, the corner of Hamilton and Paterson Avenue. And that elevation is 54.5 above mean sea level. And then as you go up Hamilton to the east, the site rises 13 feet. So we have 67 elevation at this location. If you go back from the corner of Hamilton and Paterson, if we go to the south, we're going up 5 feet to the corner of Fair and Hamilton. That's an elevation of 59. And then the highest elevation on the site is at the easterly side adjacent to Fair Street. That's an elevation of 70 above sea level. So just to clarify, there is a flood zone not too far from the site, but we are high enough. So the flood zone on the FER map, the FEMA map, shows a flood elevation of 47.5. That's the nearest flood elevation. Now, I'm not sure who is aware of it. There was a new emergency New Jersey DEP ruling that the floors of any new building, any new construction, have to be 2 feet above the flood hazard line. So just to educate everyone that we're well above that, so the flood elevation nearest us is 47.5. Flood hazard elevation is 1 foot above that. That's 48.5. And the new DEP ruling provides that you have to be 2 feet above that flood hazard, which gives us an elevation of 50.5. So any floor you construct, new construction has to be, in this location, has to be above 50.5, and our floor level is going to be at 50, the lowest floor will be at 54.5. Just so you know that we're above that. So let me go into I'll go to my site plan, which is sheet 2. Just with respect to the subdivision and construction of the site, as Mr. Evans and Mr. Deutsch discussed, we're going to have 2 individual buildings, and we're going to have a firewall basically along the subdivision line. So that wall will run from Paterson Avenue to the rear of the building, and that will go from the basically the basement to the rooftop. So you will have a continuous wall separating the 2 lots. The walls will be touching, but it will be separate lots, separate buildings. Nothing, like we said, no utilities will be joined. No holes will be in that wall. It will be a continuous wall from the bottom to the top, separating the 2. So 2 individual lots which could stand alone. So we have our 2 levels of parking with 5 stories above that. And we have this open area above the second level of parking. This is our lower level amenities. And then as our architect, Mr. Evans, described, we have some rooftop amenities as well, which he was more specific about. I'm going to go to my sheet number 2. This is our first level of parking. As Mr. Evans mentioned, we have a commercial area. Let me zoom out a second. adjacent to Paterson Avenue, which will be at the ground level. And then we have our entryway for both units on Paterson Avenue. So we have 27-foot drop curbs, two-way entry and exit for each of our units. That's the first level of parking. Then as we go to the next level, so this is the second level of parking. So in this case, our entry points are higher. We have one entry point. Both entry points are opposite each other. The north lot, which is 1.01, has an entry point on Hamilton Avenue on the northeasterly corner of the site. And then the other two-way traffic entry point for lot 1.02 is going to be on Fair Street. And that's on the southeasterly corner of the site. So we have the 4 entry points for the 2 levels of parking. Then we have the 5 stories above. As far as runoff from the site, we're going to, basically, the site's 100% impervious currently. We will have some green area with our amenities. So we'll have planters, we'll have some mulched areas, and that will absorb some of the water from the roof. We are going to pipe the both buildings separately. So 1.01, which is on the northerly side, will be piped into the city's stormwater system. And then same thing, lot 1.02, adjacent to Fair Street, will be also piped into, the roof area will be piped into the city system.
So there's no question that there won't be any stormwater flowing directly onto the street from the site.
That's correct, yes.
Everything will be collected.
Right. We do have an area in the back. So one other clarification is that there's the area adjacent to the easterly side of proposed lot 1.01, which is the northerly side. This area will remain about 1,500 square feet of this area will remain undisturbed. And on the southerly side, we'll have a gravel area which will absorb water in that location. So just to clarify, there's another DEP regulation that requires if you're over an acre of impervious, it depicts you as a minor or major development. So since we're not disturbing this 1,500 square feet, we're classified as a minor development in the eyes of the DEP. That has nothing to do with subdivision. It's just a DEP classification. So this area basically will remain untouched. It'll remain macadam with some gravel over it, so it won't be disturbed at all. And then this area on lot 1.02 will be excavated and have a gravel area that will allow water to percolate into the ground at that location. I'm just going to go, I have my revised zone chart here. So as I discussed earlier, as far as the parking goes, here's our parking reduction. We have a 10% reduction. That gives us 85 spaces required, and we're providing 90 for each lot. So no variances. We will have to submit to State County Soil Erosion Control if we're approved. So we'll file application with them and we'll require approval. We did submit to the county of Passaic already, and we received approvals from them as far as the site goes. Subdivision, as we said, will be filed by deed.
And so both the subdivision and site plan were approved by the state county.
That is correct, yes. That sums up my testimony.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, you have only one witness left, correct?
planner, yes, our planner, Mr. Williams.
Let's just call him and then I can open it up to the public for questions on any of these witnesses.
Fine, if, Williams could be sworn.
Melinda?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I most certainly do.
You state your full name for the record, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is George Guido Williams, representing the
Chairwoman,
Michigan
can you
Group.
call me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, I
I
can.
think I'm having problems. I don't hear anybody.
Okay, hold on. I'll call you in one moment. Thank you.
Mr. Deutsch, can you take over when I get back on? I have to disconnect. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I gotta go. Please fix it.
Okay, I am very sorry. Okay, Mr. Williams, you stated your credentials already?
I give my name and my address, 105 Grove Street,
Okay. Okay, and we do accept him as an expert witness. He's been here mega times. Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
And Mr. Williams, you are going to be testifying as a professional planner.
That is correct.
And you have reviewed the site, you've seen the site plans, you've seen the subdivision, you've seen the whole thing right from the beginning, right through. Could you please give your planning testimony?
Certainly, and that includes both the resolution from 2019 as well as the new ordinance amendment for this particular zone district. I'll just begin quickly by saying this has been an extremely fun project to work on, because I think it really does advance the purpose of your master plan. It's a planner's dream in terms of a development so close to the train station. But lastly, the team, the design team and the applicant really worked to improve the 2019 matter and to improve the submission was made in 2022. And to that point, you've noticed the elimination of several variances. So it's been an incredible project to work on. Mr. Evans' renderings kind of tell the story. I'm going to try to be brief, and I'm going to refer to my notes so I don't get off track. But the planning testimony is relatively limited now because of the work that was done both by our civil engineer, our traffic engineer, and our project architect, specifically eliminating the reliefs that were sought. So I'll go through a few things for the record, and then I suppose go to the reliefs. 103-107 Fair Street, block number 3706, lot numbers 1 and 2, and we're proposing a merger and re-subdivision to create lots 1.01 and 1.02. 1.01 will have a area of 22,372 square feet. Lot 1.02, if approved, will have a lot area of 22,592 square feet. And that's where we will need a variance as captured in your board planner's report. We are very close to public transportation. The train station is less than a half mile north of the site. There are a variety of land uses surrounding our site.
Do you want to hear me? Excuse me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Maggie, call me on my cell phone, please, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry, thank you, Madam Chair. I won't repeat the surrounding land development pattern. I think that was captured in your board planner's report and discussed by Mr. Evans. In terms of the zoning designation, this is in a high density development overlay district, or HDO, and as you heard me say in my introductory comments, what's before you would advance the intent of that zone district and your master plan. In fact, the intent of the district is, and I quote, to provide increased height and residential density limits in order to promote large-scale development opportunities in close proximity to the city's street station or train station. The permitted height and density allow for the development of a modern urban residential or mixed-use structure that is consistent with consumer demands in transit-oriented markets. Multifamily residential uses, convenience retail, and offices are permitted in the HDO district. In my opinion, I think Mr. Evans and the applicant reacted directly to that code and have delivered on the city's intention. There are a couple of changes. I'll just go through the highlights. As this board knows, in 2019, the board approved a similar application on the site. I'll talk about the differences in a moment. To summarize, what's different is we've lowered the height, we've lowered the number of dwelling units, and we have separated the lots and the buildings, and I'll talk about that momentarily. Mr. Evans has added rooftop terraces to increase the amount of open and amenity space. Tom has added the electric vehicle stations to get the credit for this site, which brings down the number of parking spaces required on the site to give us an actual surplus at this point as opposed to a deficiency. I will tell you that the applicant was prepared to seek off-site parking accommodations if necessary, but as you've heard testimony already, that's not required. And so we're at a point now where we have eliminated not only the scale and mass of the 2019 application, but we've eliminated variances from the 2022 application. It's important to repeat though, given the board's approval of the 2019 application, you're actually being asked to approve something that's less intense than what was approved in 2019. So why did we make the changes? I don't know if that's been stated. It's very simple. It was to advance the purpose of your master plan by creating two separate buildings, one of which would be condominiums and would promote the master plan's recommendation for market rate and home ownership. So we're particularly proud of that change. I would state to you as a professional planner, that alone would justify subdivision and the deviation from the strict application of your lot area sizes. But it certainly advances several goals and objectives of your master plan. I'll refer to them briefly. Housing goal number 1, and I think this was captured in your board planners report, but bears repeating, to provide for a variety of housing types that will attract and retain a mix of residences from various socioeconomic backgrounds. Housing goal number 3, to provide opportunities for the construction and or rehabilitation of affordably priced market rate housing. Housing goal number 4, to stabilize and improve existing residential neighborhoods. And last but not least, commissioners, land use objectives number 2A, promote infill housing redevelopment, which is 2, or development rather, and urban design goal number 1, to promote and implement appropriate and attractive design standards for new construction. I think Mr. Evans hit that ball out of the park. We hope you will agree. Again, buildings A and B will be totally separate utilities. They'll both be sprinkled and they will be fire rated. In my professional opinion, commissioners, that leaves us with only 2 reliefs. One would be for the minor subdivision, which was outlined by Tom. The other would be for the lot area deficiency as outlined in your board planners report and captured again by Tom. Lot 1.01, the requirement is 43,560 square feet. We are proposing 22,372 square feet. Similarly, on lot 1.02, same minimum lot requirement, we're proposing 22,592 square feet. Again, just worth repeating that it's the same tract of land as was approved in 2019. The subdivision just creates 2 undersized lots, but I would submit to the board that's done with a purpose, and that purpose is to effectuate your master plan by granting us the ability to do the phasing of construction, but also the home ownership option. In terms of the minor subdivision, commissioners, as you know, the municipal land use law 40:55D-40A allows for minor subdivisions as defined in local codes. We believe what we are submitting meets the Paterson definition of a minor subdivision. We will be creating only 2 lots. And you've heard the testimony from Tom. I won't go through the reason or rationale for the subdivision any further. I would just submit that it is suitable and appropriate for this site and does not detract from the intent of your local code. I'm glad you heard the minor subdivision testimony up front because that is what triggers the minimum lot area change. It's simply that the subdivided lots are now undersized. In my professional opinion, the context for reviewing that lot area deviation would be the C2 variance. We don't claim a hardship because, in point of fact, we subdivided to create these lots. But the C2 context allows the board to consider, on the whole, if the proposed site plan, in this case the lot size, is a better zoning alternative than a strict application of your code. And I think you will agree that it is, given this set of circumstances, that the purposes of zoning would be advanced and that there will be no substantial detriment to the public good nor impairment to your zone plan, then the board can comfortably grant the requested deviation from your lot area standards. There are two court cases, commissioners, that I think are on point, or I submit are on point. First is the Kaufman case, which is the landmark case for all C2 cases, but happens to deal with lots, and it suggests that when the two proposed lots better conform to the zone plan, then the board may comfortably grant the relief. In my opinion, they comport with your zone plan, particularly the land use element of your master plan and the housing element, because they create the opportunity I mentioned earlier for home ownership by that condominium use on one of the lots. Similarly, Bressman v. Gash suggests that this type of subdivision is appropriate even though we're creating two lots that are smaller than the strict application of your code, because it enables the applicant to build a development which is more in keeping with the character of the area, or specifically in keeping with your master plan goals and objectives. In terms of the purposes of zoning under the municipal land use law, I would submit that if you were to grant our variance relief for the lot area, you would advance subsection A to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. You've heard me say this many a time. It's the first. So zoning is a bit of a catch-all, but in my opinion, as a professional planner, it's appropriate for this application because it does advance your master plan goals and objectives, and therefore enhances the public good, not just the applicant's good or benefit, but the overall good of the city of Paterson. Subsection I, to promote a desirable visual environment through a creative development technique and good civic design. You heard me loud, Mr. Evans's design approach. I hope you will all agree that it was impressive in terms of the use of material differentiation, the rooftop amenities, the plaza, etc. All of those design elements, in my opinion, would be advanced if you were to grant our relief, allowed us to subdivide the lot, create the smaller lot areas, but still deliver to the city the kind of the development that is sought by the city's master plan and evidence in Mr. Evans's site plan. Very quickly, there's no substantial detriment to the public good in my professional opinion. In fact, I would argue to the board that what you have before you this evening is an even better plan than what was approved in 2019. Similarly, there's no substantial impairment to your zone plan. Again, a better plan than what was approved in 2019. And I would go a bit further and say you actually would advance your land use element in master plan. Madam Chair, that's it for my direct testimony, but I remain available for questions.
Mr. Williams, just one further question. As you know, property is located in the high-density overlay zoning district, and it is your testimony that what has been proposed by Mr. Evans and the building that he had designed fits into the overlay district.
Mr. Rubin, I'm glad you asked that. I would just reiterate that it fits perfectly in the HDO. It promotes large-scale development opportunities close to the city's rail station, and most notably, provides modern urban residential living accommodations. And that's the buzz phrase in the planning field now, urban lifestyle. And I believe this application delivers delivers on the code and that objective.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Madam Chair, those are the witnesses for this application.
All right, then I'm going to ask if anyone, I don't have, just bear with me, I'm gonna give the phone number one more time. I'm gonna open it up to the public. Okay, if anyone has any questions of any of the witnesses, and this is questions, if you have comments, you can call in and then make your comment, but, these are basically for questions. I'll take the comments. You can call in at 973-321-1579, and the meeting ID is 711-680-001. I have to limit this tonight to 2 minutes for call-ins, 3 minutes for questions and or comments. Okay, so I believe we have some callers on the line, so I'm gonna go to Madam Secretary. Who are we taking first?
Chairwoman Northrup, I'd like to call Jessica White. Are you
Okay.
there, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, so Jessica, White, excuse me, wait.
That we're discussing supposed to be. My question is for like the traffic. Currently, there are, including the big building, because the building I live in is the Silk City Loft. It used to be the old coal factory. So I own my unit. It's a condo, and currently the traffic is absurd, and it's traffic jams and it's very congested. So I'm trying to understand how, if you're placing a building right across the street that's going to hold about 180 plus people, because that's 180 units, but it doesn't include family members, how is that not going to cause traffic? Paterson Street, and it's not Paterson Ave, because on the forms that you put up, it was saying Paterson Ave, and that's not correct. It's Paterson Street. It's permanent parking, and from my understanding, the permanent parking is there because people from Triangle Village on Paterson Ave, Paterson Street, cannot find parking. So I'm trying to understand how this is going to be, like the traffic is going to be crazy. So I'm trying to understand how this is not going to affect the traffic over here and this congestion that's already here with 4 buildings on this block.
All right, so we're going to ask that for the traffic person to please.
So if John Korak could come forward.
Hey, good evening, Joan Korak again for the record.
Yes.
As part of this application, as part of the previous application, our firm did conduct a traffic impact study. We did conduct turning movement counts. We've done observations at the site and at the surrounding intersections. And ultimately, with the volumes that are present there today on Paterson Street, on Fair Street, on Hamilton Avenue, the increase in traffic associated with this development or with the prior approval is not something that is going to tip the scales in terms of creating a substantial traffic impact. And one of the other things associated with this project as compared to the previous one, the previous project had all of that access out to Fair Street, so right across the street from your building at 114 Fair. And now that traffic is being dispersed across all 3 streets, Fair Street, Paterson Street, and Hamilton Avenue, which helps reduce some of the traffic impacts associated with the development by dispersing it across all 3 frontages that our site provides.
Okay, that would, Ms. Wright, I'd like to have a comment from you because I believe that was your question and that was your answer from the expert. But if you have a comment, please make it now at this time.
Ms. White, before you continue, Ms. White, you mentioned that the address was incorrect. What did you mean by that?
No, this is some of the architects paperwork, it was saying Paterson,
Maggie, you don't need to cut
Paterson
her off.
Ave.
Maggie, I don't need to cut her off, but Mr. Rubin and Tom Stearns straightened it out. Tom Stearns incorrectly had Paterson Ave on his site plan. Paterson Ave, we all know, is in the total well section. We already spoke. He's going to correct that and name it Paterson Street as it should read. Paterson Street, not Paterson Ave.
Okay, so that settles that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you for that, but I also got another call. Ms. White, you did mention that there was an error, just had to ask, thank you.
That was the error.
All right, so hold on, let me just go back to Ms. White, please. Do you have a comment now that you'd like to make? You have 2 minutes to make your comment,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so, currently, there, like I said, there's 48 units in this building. Currently, we park in the parking lot for this proposed site. And my question and my concern is, where are the residents from this building, where are we gonna park now? Is there parking that's going to be designated for us? Because now we're being bumped out of this parking lot, just like we were bumped out of the other 2 parking lots on this block where buildings went up. So now, where are 48 cars going to park now?
I've been advised that there is no real legal right for people in that building to park on this site right now. There isn't any.
All right, so I think the comment, you're right, illegally, no one is allowed to park there. It's like I lost parking right across the street from my house when they built the nursing home. And so I get that. You're gonna lose it, unfortunately. We had to lose ours, and we had 800 families here. So, it was very difficult, and I understand that, but unfortunately, Ms. White, that is the issue. You know, you guys have to do something about the parking. If you don't have a legal right to it, then there's nothing that this board or the council can help you with. Am I correct, Mr. Aquaviva?
Yes, Madam Chair. Basically, that issue is beyond the realm of this board. My understanding is that the parking that you apparently are using is right, you don't have a legal right to use. So that property is entitled to be used by the owner as the owner sees fit, subject to whatever approvals they may need, which is exactly what they're doing tonight, coming before this board to seek approvals to build on that property. So unfortunately, without a legal lease for you to use that property or a legal right to use that property for parking, you don't have a legal right. So unfortunately, it appears you're gonna have to find other places to park for your unit.
Madam Chairman, if I may, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
We also, and Mr. Rubin could enter it into, as the exhibit, we have a letter from the chairman of the, executive director of the, Paterson Parking Authority, which is like, kind of like directly across the street from the site here,
Right.
across from Memorial Drive. And, he said he has, finished space in that garage that's available, if the needs shall, be, for the use of that site. And also, once we get this building constructed, if we have any, space available, we have no problem allowing the tenants from this building to park into the site if we have space available for them.
All right, thank you, that's gracious of you. Okay, thank you. And
Okay,
I'm gonna have to move on, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to move on, you're gonna have to make it very
Oh, my
quick,
God.
thank you.
yeah, so the 48 units that's here, 3 of the units, we are owners. We own our units and they came with parking spaces. So we should be subject to a parking space, we don't rent.
But that's beyond the scope of our application.
Yes,
We have to do with the ownership of your condominium. You have
Ms.
to
Wright,
go-
you said, Ms. Wright,
you have to go to your condominium association
yes.
to work that out.
Ms. Wright, are you saying that you're entitled to park on this particular lot as part of your condominium agreement?
Not this, the lot that we were parking in, a building went up, so they moved us from that lot to across the street.
Right, and
But
when you
yes,
say,
our unit came with a parking space, one parking space, yes.
okay, but where was that parking
That's what I
space?
contract.
Where was that
It
parking
was
space?
right next door, it was right next door on Fair Street, on the other side of the train track, but now a building is there. A building went up in the past year. So we
Okay.
were kicked out of that lot.
Okay, now you said they moved you to this lot?
Yes. So now. this
I mean,
is,
unfortunately-
we were park-
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you're gonna have to address that issue with your condominium association because they really didn't have any legal right to do that. This is not their lot. They don't own this lot. And you know, as part of your condominium ownership, you don't own a portion of this lot. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, if you're accurate in what you're saying, I have no reason to believe that you're not. But if you are accurate in what you're saying, then something is wrong with the way the condo association handled it. And I think you really need to address that at whatever board meeting that you have with them.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, this is not the forum for that. Okay, so, please, may I speak, put the next caller through, Madam Secretary?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Shakur, are you there?
Yes.
You have the floor.
Okay, Mr. Shakur, just once again, please state your name and address for the record, that's all.
Yeah, Shakur, 114 Fair Street.
Okay, Mr. Shakur, do you have a comment or a question?
I mean, it's basically, I mean, I don't want to be repeating what was said, but I just don't understand, like, the traffic control person said that it's not going to be congested. If it's congested now, it's definitely going to be congested once this building is put up. So I don't understand how you can say that. I mean, even for someone to say that, that doesn't live in this area, I just came home. It's people that's always double parked. I mean, Fair Street is already a two-way street. It shouldn't even be two-way. It should be one-way. And then the same thing is on Hamilton. So I don't know how it's not going to be more congested with that many people moving in. I just don't understand how that's possible.
Well, I certainly understand your concern, but the traffic.
And just as you come by and just got off something for 5 minutes, you live here every day, so we know what the traffic is.
And I can appreciate your comments. However, if the traffic person gave the traffic study, it may not be what you want to hear, but it is his study. Mr. Stern, would you like to? Well, excuse me. Hold on, Mr. Stern. Do you want to add anything to this? It's not Mr. Stern, it's Mr. Korak. Mr. Korak, do you want to add?
No, I understand the question and the comments about traffic congestion. A lot of times what the traffic study is contemplating is the increase associated with the building itself. And that increase associated with the building is not something that's going to have any substantial impact. I understand frustrations with double parking. I understand frustrations with traffic volumes at certain times. Our traffic study is not just a 5-minute sample. It's many hours or many days of traffic counts and analyses. And ultimately, this development is not going to provide a substantial impact on that surrounding roadway network. And it's also a permitted use, which in and of itself is designed to be, this development is designed to be built here, and all the things that go into that consideration, including traffic, were a part of this overlay zone. So, with respect to traffic, I understand your concern, but the impact associated with this development is not going to tip the scales to any measurable level.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add? Mr.
I mean, at this point, it doesn't really make a difference what I say. I mean, y'all already have
Well,
that.
it does. I really wish.
I mean, obviously, what we're saying, like, we just live here, so it doesn't make a difference what we say. I mean, it doesn't make a difference what comment we make. It doesn't. I mean, y'all mind is already made up. I mean, y'all approve project that makes no sense.
I wouldn't say everyone is entitled.
And for someone to make a comment that we gotta find parking and we gotta make our way and we gotta find our own parking. We have a contract saying that we are entitled to a parking space.
Can I just ask?
Contract.
Excuse me, Mr. Aquaviva, would you please address this, because your contract is not with us. Your contract is with your own complex. That's who you should be arguing with. Mr. Aquavit, could you please explain?
Mr. Shakur, can you hear me? Okay. Basically, this is a situation that it appears that you and the prior interested party are concerned with. And unfortunately, it looks to me, and again, I haven't seen documents that's outside of the realm of this application, but it looks to me like you have some sort of a contract with your association where the association has guaranteed you a parking space for your unit. The problem is they don't have any right to do that on property that they don't legally own or legally lease. So you parking on this area obviously was a convenience to you, and you may have believed that it was part of your contract with the association, but quite frankly, it isn't. So it's something that you, I forgot the person's name before, and I'm sorry, Ms. Wright, and maybe other individuals are concerned with. You really need to address this with the association, because if this is what they actually did, then I'm not going to pass judgment on anyone, but it seems that what they did was illegal because they guaranteed you a parking space on a lot that they have no right to. And if they have no right to it, then you have no right to it. So you really need to discuss this with your condominium association. It's not something that really is within the purview of this board, because the property that the development is being proposed on is owned by the applicant. It's not owned by the association. And to the best of my knowledge, there's no lease agreement between this owner and the association where its residents can use those parking spaces. So you really need to take this up with your condo association. Hopefully you can get that straightened out. Madam Chair?
Yes, I'm gonna move on then. I understand, I really do understand, and I empathize. I went through it here, believe me. So I did it right here in our own complex where I live in Paterson. So, but unfortunately, it is not the fight that they should be taking up with us this evening. It should be with their own condominium association. So I'm gonna move on. Is there another caller?
Yes, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The last caller is James Williams. Are you there? Mr. Williams, can you hear me?
Yes, hello?
Yes, please state your name and your address for the record.
James Williams, 114 Fair Street.
Okay.
Here's my deal. The owner, I'm going to call out the owner's name, who owns 114 Fair Street. It's the same guy that's building across the street, same guy that built next door, same guy that's building on the corner of Straight and Fair Street. Charles Florio. Now, First Street, if you look at, I don't know what kind of traffic study this guy did. You got people actually parking half of the car on the sidewalk on both sides of the street. The two-way street is not supposed to be a two-way street. You can hardly get up. Don't let somebody turn the corner up the street and you're coming from you'll never get through. Paterson Street, one-way street. Now they got all permits for the village down there. Now, we got to move where? The 2 feet, they had an overflow space on the corner. They had the space next door at 116. They moved us across the street. Now they're moving us out. We're being kicked around like with garbage or something. This is not right. This is not the way you do things. Hello?
I'm right here. I'm gonna ask Mr. Reed. Can you comment on this, Mr. Reed?
Well, I can't comment on, which entity owns, which sites, because all these sites are not owned by the same entity.
Carlos Florio. Carlos Florio owns all 3 of them. We know that. We know that.
Assume
We all know that.
which one, but, nobody from 114 has any ownership or any condo, anyone owns a condo, anyone who has ownership in 114 owns the site here, 103, 107 Fair Street and 94-100.
Well, when Mr. Castillo sold the building to Charles Florio.
Wait, I'm sorry, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, please, wait 1 second, please. Okay, the stenographer can only take testimony and listen to one person at a time. So if Mr. Reed is talking, just please wait till he is finished, then you can speak, please, or vice versa.
Okay.
One person at a time. All right, so, Mr. Reed, continue, please, and then Mr. Williams will make his comment.
Okay, so again, no part of, 114 Fair owns this site here. This site is independent of, that building. And as far as parking, like I said, there's been arrangements made, if they wanna use parking from the parking authority garage over there, they have spaces over there, so there's parking available. Yeah, like I said, once we construct, this building here, if we have extra space available, we will entertain, leasing space still in the site here. That has to be a separate agreement. But again, this right here site is independent of any other site.
Well, I don't see how you're gonna do that when you have, 188, apartments, 190, 99, 180, and you're gonna be short 8 already, you said.
No, actually, we have a few extra parking spaces as per the, ordinance of parking spaces required for this development.
I was just going to say, I wanna add to that not every person owns a car. So, I mean, I have that here at this complex that I live at, not everybody owns a car, so not everybody needs a parking space, but that is something for something else. I don't know, I feel bad because these people there's 3 of them, they need parking spaces, that's what we're hearing. Is there anything that you can promise them, Mr. Reed?
Well, like I said, I can promise that there's space available for them in the, Baggy right across the street there in the parking authority garage. And I can promise that once we construct this site here, and if they need space, and we will make it available for them if we have the space. Like you said, we don't have a variance for any parking. Actually, we have a couple extra spaces in each one of these buildings here. And like you said, Madam Chairman, this doesn't mean that every one of these spaces is going to be taken up by every tenant that will move to this building. So we will do whatever we do to assist them with parking.
I'd like to see something.
Can I say one other thing?
Go ahead, Mr. Williams. Yes, go ahead.
It's Councilman Khalid, he's on the planning board. Is he on the planning board? I understand.
Councilman Khalid, is it, yes.
I am here.
Okay, Councilman Khalid, why aren't you speaking up for us?
What is that you want me to say?
Have you been on Fair Street, Councilman Khalid, to see what Fair Street looks like?
I've been there. I've been there. I've been to
You see cars parked, half of the cars all the way up and down the street from corner to corner, half of the cars are on the sidewalk on each side.
And
I
would like to have another clarification. The caller said they own those condominiums. Correct?
Yes.
You own the condominium. And who do you have the lease for the parking?
Charles Florio, let me speak now, okay? Before Charles Florio brought the building, Paterson owned the building. Paterson had parking with owners. The owners had parking. After a while, it changed over. They got some Section 8 people in there and everything. And from what I understand, they actually had to pay to park in the parking lot across the street. The owners always had parking, right from day one, for 10 years now. Now, there's 3 owners there, and they're paying owner taxes. Now, they're going to be kicked out, go park 5 blocks from somewhere.
Well, whoever you bought the condominium from, you should go to them for the parking.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Mr. Williams, this is Alan Weaver. I'm the attorney for the board. Let me just ask you a question, and maybe I should have asked it from the prior people who testified. Do you have anything in writing? Do you have a written lease for parking with your condominium association, with your condominium documents?
Yes.
I believe so. Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
And where does it say that parking is to be provided?
Parking was provided at 116 Fair Street. But then Florida brought 116 Fair Street, kicked us out of there. We had an overflow up at the corner there, kicked us out of here, built another building, put us down here, and we're building the building now that you guys are
I understand what you're saying, believe me, I get it. I understood it from the
Yeah, I know. I don't want to talk anymore. You guys got to do better. You got to start going and checking out these sites and see what's going on, because this is all over Paterson. This is crazy.
Mr. Williams, if I could
I'm finished talking.
Mr. Williams, if I could just speak for a second, I'd appreciate it, okay? I just wanted to point out something to you. Okay, I heard what you have to say, and I heard what the two prior individuals said who live in the same complex as you. And what you're saying is not entirely wrong, okay? And it's not that I'm trying to brush you off, because that's the last thing that I'm trying to do. What I am saying to you is this. This building, or this parking lot where the development is being proposed, is right now being considered by this board. What I had said to the other two individuals before you indicated that this property allegedly is owned by Mr. Florio was that I indicated to them that they should go to their condo association, call some sort of an emergency meeting to address this issue. I'm saying the same thing to you, but I'm going one step further. Because if what you're saying is correct, and I don't have no reason to doubt you, but I haven't looked at any documents, you didn't submit anything, so I can't talk about something that's not in front of me. But if this application is approved tonight, I can't give you legal counsel. But I strongly suggest that you go consult with an attorney, maybe get the people inside your building to go consult with an attorney, because maybe there is some sort of a legal right that you and the residents have had to parking that may be being violated if this application is approved tonight. But within the terms of this board and what this board can and cannot do, its job tonight is to consider this application and whether the relief that's being requested is reasonable, and to approve it or to deny it. But in either event, whether it's approved or denied, I strongly suggest that you and other residents seek counsel, seek an independent attorney to see what it is that you exactly have and see if anything was violated. So I hope that clarifies things a little bit for you, but I am not trying to brush you off by any means, and I'm not trying to say that what you're saying doesn't make sense, because it may very well do. It's just that it's beyond the authority of this board. I hope that clears things up a little.
I take your advice, and I want you to know, I'm not against development. I'm just against the way it's being done. But I take your advice here. But we got to do better. We got to do better in Paterson. Please, when you're doing these developments, please, everybody get on the bus and go look at where the development is being done and what's, take a look and see what the people in the neighborhood are going through. That's all I got to say.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you, yes. There being no other, is there anything else here? Any other callers in?
We have
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry, wait, I can't listen to two people. Wait, Madam Secretary, is there any other callers?
We have no callers at this time.
Okay, Mr. Rubin?
yes, Madam Chair, it should be noted that the ownership of this property that is subject this evening has no agreements, no leases, there is nothing
Right.
that gives anyone the right to the property.
I thoroughly,
It doesn't exist.
yes, it's on the record, and I thoroughly
They put it on the table, but it isn't. There's nothing there.
Well, I thoroughly understand it. As I said, I have the same issue over here, the property where I live, and I sympathize with them. But life goes on. I don't know. That's all I can think of right now. I just.
I'm not sure what the board has in front of it what the board can consider is what it has in front of it right now.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And the three residents, are voicing legitimate concerns, but unfortunately don't have anything before the board to substantiate those claims. Now, whatever this board decides to do tonight, this may not end here, because these individuals may very well get an attorney, maybe they may have some sort of right, which may very well shut down the development, even if this board were to approve it. But for right now, the board can only consider what it has in front of it, and right now, what we have in front of it is expert witnesses who are testifying as to the legitimacy of the project.
Understood. So, I'm gonna open it up to questions from the commissioners, but I also wanna ask, a comment here. I guess it would go to Matt Evans. Are we married to those colors of that building?
That's the colors we proposed. They're contemporary. I mean, it's, you know, it's,
I don't like them, I'm gonna be very candid.
okay.
I'm not a fan of them, I don't know who else might be a fan of it. Commissioners, anybody like those colors? Commissioners, speak up, please.
This is Commissioner Cleves. You know how I feel about colors on the building.
Okay, so that speaks for me, thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Santana?
Yes. So, Mr. George Williams, based on your report, does that color actually match the area in the neighborhood? Because I agree with the short woman about the colors, and it's always good to make sure like all projects match the neighborhood, especially when it comes for the image, because we want to make sure, you know, that is something that's taken into consideration. Do you took that in consideration in your review?
Great question, Commissioner. I'm going to give you my response, but it's probably better suited for Matt Evans. I can tell you from a planning perspective, there are a variety of color schemas in the area. So I would say that this is not inconsistent with the color schemas in the area, but in terms of this, and it's not inconsistent with the code, but in terms of where Matt took his cues from, I'll defer to Matt on that. He may be able to give you a more robust response.
Madam Chair, but Mr. Williams, just following up on Commissioner Santana's question, I think it is relevant as your testimony as a planner. Given the colors of this building, do you believe it fits within the character and nature of the surrounding area?
I do. I feel it fits within the design goals of the master plan, the HDO standards, and I would argue that it fits within the character of the neighborhood. It is not exactly like all the other colors, but again, there's a menu or palette of colors in this area that is rather varied. So my professional opinion as a planner would fit it.
You know, I just gotta say something. My previous background was in economic development for the urban enterprise zone. One of my pet peeves was all the different colors, too many colors, okay, trying to be blended together and nothing ever quite looked right. Okay, we had different color, nobody had a scheme of colors for awnings, for the businesses, so forth and so on. So I'm coming from that perspective. I like to change that look for the downtown area and make it look a little bit, I'm just not a fan of those colors. That's what, I'm just gonna say that. But Matt, let me ask you something. Are we married to those colors or can that be changed? And if it could be changed, what could you suggest?
Well, there's a couple things. The renderings aren't like 100% on the colors, but what we did to get those colors, let me see if I can share the rendering again. Okay. So on the rendering, you can see we pull out, and a lot of these new buildings are using.
Wait a minute, what happened to the red, white, and blue that I saw earlier?
I don't know. This is basically, that's what happens. The renderings, you know, your monitor and different things affect it. But what we did is we pulled the colors from the neighborhood. So we have the brick, basically from the mill buildings, and then we have other materials. We have dark frames, and we have just some contrasting gray, white, and black, which are used in a lot of the new buildings. And we've undulated the facade to give it, you know, some aesthetic appeal. So those characteristics, you know, we do have two different color bricks, but I believe that the colors, you know, it's hard to tell completely, but they will be consistent with, you know, contemporary residential architecture and also with pulling colors out from the neighborhood, as I mentioned. So.
Mr. Evans, I'm looking down at the bottom of your of the photo you have up. Are those all other additional photos of this building?
And
well, I can't see it now. When you put it down.
Yeah, those are good. Do you want me to, I can scroll through it?
Yeah, that would be that.
Some of them are just schematic, like this shows, you know, a detail looking up. So you can see, that's basically what we did is the most photorealistic as possible. So really, once you build that building, it's pretty much going to look like that. The colors are, basically earth tones. So like you see how in this render.
There it doesn't look, to be honest with you, there it doesn't look like that. And one of these, one that I'm looking at over here looked like to me like a red, white, and blue. And I was like, are you kidding me? But okay. I'm like,
We're going to use like the clay brick is basically going to match. That red is really not red. It's going to be like a clay brick or like a mill building red.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Hey, Matt.
One of the problems, Madam Chair, and members of the board, one of the problems is the ordinance itself. The ordinance does not define what the buildings would look like.
Yeah.
It merely says an overlay zone, and it doesn't go into this kind of detail. Now, do some other municipal and go into that? Yes, they do. Paterson governing.
Yeah, see, I don't like that look right there.
Yeah,
Paterson has not opted to do that.
Yeah, no, I know that. That's just a suggestion on my part. I 100% know that we don't have it. Believe me, I know we don't have an ordinance. One I've always wanted. But now that particular view that you just gave me, Matt, that's so what I was looking at, the red, it looked like orange, blue, and red.
Yeah, see, that's just the render. We're focused on that rooftop area, so we're.
Okay, so basically you're saying the red is more of a clay look, and the darker earth tones.
Yeah, this is just for the
red. And Madam Chair, we're gonna work with a professional exterior designer on the outside scheme also. But I think a lot of the blue you seems like kind of like the rooftop area, not seen from the ground. But I think it's just like I don't know what they call it, but it's just like a shadow, like looking at making it look like it's blue up top. But we will have a professional work with us, exterior designer work with us on the exterior of the building.
Okay.
So you can see this one here, you can see that's basically true to what we're doing.
Yes, I see it. I can see it better there. It doesn't look that bad at all compared to what I saw before. Okay, so
that one looked like the Verizon building there. That red one.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. So this is fine. I'm okay with this part, but all right. Let me open it up to the rest of the commissioners. Commissioners, any other questions?
This is Commissioner Scott. I have a quick question for the traffic engineer.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. John.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so would you mind, I don't know, I think you stated on the record before, but do you mind giving details about the time and the day you went to conduct the traffic study?
Yeah, sure. 1 second. I need to pull up the old study, the previous study, if you will. This is the foundation of our count data and analysis. And this was done back in 2019, so it's pre-pandemic volumes. Those counts were specifically on, it was a weekday, it was Thursday, March 21st. We looked at the peak periods from 7 to 9 a.m. and again from 4 to 7 p.m. So they have the morning and the evening peak hours for understanding traffic movements, traffic flow, those turning movements at the surrounding intersections that are adjacent to our site.
Okay, so you said 2019. Have any of these new buildings are new in that area that has many new apartments were built? Were those also taken in consideration after your report?
And so what our traffic study does is it includes growth for the future condition, and it includes background growth associated with those other developments. So it's not just a simple count volumes in 2019, add in our development and see what it does. We have count volumes in 2019. We then grow those volumes based on the other developments that are in the area, based on general background growth, and then we add in our site volumes associated with the project.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for those.
Okay.
This,
Anybody else?
this is Commissioner Cleaves.
Yes, please go ahead, Commissioner, please.
This is also for the traffic study. So you built the expectations of growth in it, but did you actually go out to the site again to see what your data was telling you and what was actually happening?
We don't have that level of in-depth data. We've done field observations, we've made site visits, obviously since that 2019 approval, of course, in conjunction with this development. But I think one of the key considerations this time around with our traffic study is that this proposed development is less intensive, smaller, fewer units, less retail than the previously approved development. So that in and of itself is going to result in lesser impact than what was previously approved. And we firmly expect our analysis to maintain as such, our conclusions to be the same from that 2019 study as it is today.
Another question, with the expectation of growth in traffic, do you, initially, did you have like speed bumps in your, evaluations, or are you considering now maybe adding speed bumps in the roadway because of the volume of traffic?
Commissioner Cleaves, I think that would be something that you'd have to deal with the city of Paterson, am I correct? I'm just seeing a lot of nodding heads, okay?
If it's a city road, yes. If it's a county road,
County road, right. Yeah, they can't propose that, but, it can be, discussed with the city or the county for sure.
and there is if I can, just for 1 minute, there's a whole line of thought of experts who say that they are not the best things to use. They're kind of dangerous.
I would agree there.
And therefore, they're basically for cars that like with excessive speed down the road. I don't think we have that condition.
Okay. Commissioner Cleaves, anything else?
Nope, just throwing things out that's coming to my mind.
Okay, that's why we're here. All right, so any other questions, commissioners?
Madam Chair, I just want to make a clarification and a statement. This is complimentary.
Colleague, yes.
Yes. The callers, basically, their concern was about parking.
Yes.
Correct? And the project in front of us, they're providing more than what they needed. They even have extra parking. So I'm looking at the project in front of me because he called out my name. That's why I'm trying to clarify. Because definitely I want this project to move forward. So I'm willing to vote in favor of this project. But for the clarification, I'm stating it again. Their concern was about parking, but this project is providing more than what they needed.
Yes.
Just for clarification. Thank you, Madam.
Yes, I'm good with everything. I understand what you're saying. Your concern was basically there's 3 or 4 people here that need parking, and we can deal with that if we should approve this project. So,
Madam Chair, I just want to, if I may, I just want to make one comment on that.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree, they are providing more parking than is required, and I agree the expert testimony may very well support that. But I do just want to point out that there's a distinct difference between what the objectors were voicing their concerns about, and it wasn't just general parking. It was about the fact that they believe they had the right to a parking space by the prior owner and the current owner of that property. So it's a little bit different. I think they really wouldn't even care about the traffic or the parking if their supposed parking space was protected. So I think that may be an issue that's going to be visited later on, but it's not one we have to visit tonight.
Understood. Okay, so any other commissioners, any questions? Okay, hearing none, so Mr. Rubin, would you like to summarize?
Yes, very briefly. This property is located in a high-density overlay zoning district. And what we have done is the owner developer of this site has commissioned our architect, Mr. Evans, to design a building that fits into the overlay district. And I think he has succeeded in doing that. There was a prior application which was approved by planning board, and I think it was resolution dated July 17th, 2019, which we are now asking be withdrawn, and so that the record would be very clear. And what we are most respectfully asking is that the board allow us to move forward. This is a good application. It fits into the overlay district. I believe that we have fulfilled all of the requirements of the overlay district. And that's important, that what we have done is that we have given this area of the city something to be proud of. So for all those reasons and all of the testimony, we ask that the board affirmatively approve this application.
Mr. Rubin, before you finally conclude, I just wanted to confirm one thing. There is an approval from the Passaic County Planning Board already, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I filed both a separate application for site plan and a separate application for minor subdivision, and they both came back with an approval without conditions.
And obviously, I just want to point out to the board that one of the major concerns, if not the major concern of the county planning boards, is traffic and ingress and egress to the building. So again, that has been reviewed by the county planning board, not to the extent that we're reviewing it tonight, but it has been approved. Madam Chair, you're muted.
Sorry, we're gonna do this in two parts. The first part would be to ask for a motion. Would anyone like to make a motion on the subdivision? Anyone? Okay, I'm gonna make the motion then. On the application of JCM Investors 1012 LLC 94-110 Hamilton Avenue, Block 3706, Lot 1, 103-107 Fair Street, Block 3706, Lot 2. I move that the board attorney prepare a resolution granting subdivision on these lots.
I second. Commissioner Cleaves.
Yes, Commissioner Cleaves, second. Roll call, please.
Commissioners, one moment. Commissioner Udine.
He's not there.
That's right. Commissioner Ahmed.
Not there.
Absent. Commissioner Cleese.
Yes.
Thank you. Your vote is yes. Thank you. Commissioner Iranzo.
Yes.
Commissioner Santana.
Yes.
Commissioner Amar.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Roman is absent. Commissioner Figueroa.
Absent.
Absent. Councilman Kalik.
Here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Norton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to go into the site plan approval. Site plan motion
And both variances.
and both variances, correct.
And I did not hear any conditions, Madam Chair.
I thought there was one, just give me one moment here. Give me 1 second while I find this, because I thought I saw something.
Mr. Rubin, were there any conditions?
No.
I didn't hear any either.
Just, maybe I'm wrong, just give me 1 moment, please.
Madam Chair, give me a moment too. I'm just going to read the review to see if there was anything in there that.
That's what I'm doing right now. I think there was something about, the plat,
Well, I did hear the one testimony from Mr. Stearns that, and also Mr. Rubin had emphasized that the the drawing of the subdivision that Mr. Stearns testified to would be the specific parameters of the new subdivided lots.
Is that the same thing?
That's
Mr.
not a
Commissioner?
condition, that's the application.
Right, but
Yeah.
again, I mean, I think it was very clear from Mr. Stearns what the size of the lots were gonna be, but I don't recall any other specific conditions.
No, I don't think there was a condition, you're right. The applicant will file a subdivision plat in conformity with the map filing law, but that's already in the application,
Well,
so.
we will probably file it by deed rather than a map. The map is too cumbersome, I like filing deeds.
Okay,
The deed for review is,
okay.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Just we're gonna change, the avenue to street. That was the only,
Okay, all right, good enough, we're gonna change that, just give me one other moment here.
which street are we changing from Avenue?
Paterson, instead of Paterson Avenue, it's going to be Paterson Street.
All right, so, would any, commissioner like to make a motion then?
I would like to make the motion, please.
I'll read it.
Secretary.
I'll read it.
You read it, okay,
I'll
thank
read it.
you.
On the application of JCM Investors 1012 LLC, 175 Broadway, Paterson, New Jersey, property located at 94-110 Hamilton Avenue, Block 3706, Lot 1, 103-107 Fair Street, Block 3706, Lot 2. I make a motion that the board attorney, I move that the board attorney prepare a resolution granting, bear with me, bulk variances, city engineer, city traffic engineer, compliance with city's master plan developers agreement, county of Passaic planning board exemption or approval, and HEP soil conservation district. And we're changing the name of Paterson Avenue to Paterson Street. Okay, is that it, Mr. Acquaviva?
It is, Madam Chair, I'm just thinking out loud here, but I'm not sure we have the authority to change the name of the street. I think we can recommend it to the city council.
No, that is the name, hold on, the name of the street is Paterson Street. They put it wrong on the application, that's all. We're not changing the name.
Spelling it.
Mr. Acquaviva, earlier I explained to you that the objector would change the name, and I wanted to put it on the record myself.
You mean the applicant?
Yes, the applicant.
It's not changing the name, it's correcting the name.
Excuse me, may
It's
I
corrected.
speak to me?
Yes. Yeah, we're correcting the name, so, yeah, I was incorrect, as hard as that is to imagine, but I was wrong. And, you know, it doesn't go before the city council, it's actually just a correction to the street.
Correction, that's all.
Okay.
Okay,
Understood, Madam Chair.
okay, so Commissioner Lorenzo made that motion, I read it for him, and do I have a second? I will make a second. A roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cleaves,
Yes.
Commissioner Iranzo,
Yes,
Commissioner Santana,
Yes.
Commissioner Amar,
Yes.
Councilman Kalik,
Yes.
and Chairwoman North.
Yes. Did you call Commissioner Cleaves?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the response, I'm sorry, okay. All right,
Thank you,
so,
Commissioner.
the vote, Madam Chair,
I'm
Madam Secretary, because I made her Madam, I want her to be Madam Chair now. Okay.
I would love it, but I'm on my way out. But anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the affirmative.
Okay. I thought we had 7 tonight. No?
6.
Only
You got
six.
6? Okay, good, all right, good, we're good to go, congratulations,
All
everyone.
the secretaries will be very quiet when I say the number. Thank you.
Okay, we're all good, thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you to
Thank you,
those,
Commissioners.
Board. Thank
thank
you
you
all.
to those
Thank you
commissioners
for all
who
the
showed up on
time
time
you've given us.
tonight, I appreciate that big time, all right? And we have no other business tonight, Mr. Deutsch?
That is correct.
Our next
Thank you
meeting
all.
is,
Wednesday, June the 15th.
Okay, all right, good enough. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night, what's left of it, and be safe.
Have a good night.
And I make a motion to close. All in favor, aye. Okay. Good night now.
Good night.